welcome to Crime in Court. My name is Heather. Thank you guys so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. So, today we're going to be discussing or continuing the discussion into the investigation of Sandra Birchmore's death. So, this is obviously my tragic death of Sandra Birchmore's series. And as we left off last time, we finished, there's this FOIA request that someone had requested, and we're going through it. It is all of the police reports that have been filed since the investigation with redactions. At least this is what the police gave us. So this is what we know um, through the FOIA, which is the Freedom of Information Act request. So let's get started. I want dog needs to readjust. Sorry. Um, so uh, let's just get started where we left off. Please hit that like button before we begin because it helps the algorithm and helps push the video out to more individuals. Thank you. All right. So this next or this next report. So we left off kind of just a few days after they found Sandra Birchmore. The last one we read was so Trooper Dunn, Matthew Dunn, is the one that wrote the majority of these reports. He's taken us from February 4th to the 9th, and that was in the first part. So now we're picking up where he left off. Sergeant John Fanning is is Trooper Dunn's, I would assume, boss, because Trooper, Sergeant, and then Lieutenant, that's the order. So I'm assuming John Fanning is Trooper Dunn's boss because he was writing the reports to him. Well, no, I think he was writing it to the detective. Never mind. But Sergeant Fanning, we've talked about in length on previous episodes um, of this series. 2 episodes back, I did a whole episode on the individuals that are involved. We also, John Fanning is the one that was overseeing all of the Explorer program, the youth program that Sandra Birchmore was in. He potentially, allegedly groomed troopers, Farwell, both Farwell brothers, and because they were in the Explorers program. So then they grew up to become teachers in the Explorer program and groom other children in the program. Allegedly, this is the story. This is what we know. All right, so all of these are going to the detective, Lieutenant Gerard Maniliano. This is from Sergeant John Fanning, and the subject is Matthew Farwell's iPhone 11 consent phone data. So that's interesting that they took his iPhone. On February 9th, 2021, at approximately 12 p.m., I met with Matthew Farwell at the Norfolk District Attorney's Office in Canton. I asked for Matthew's consent to retrieve the data off his phone relative to the investigation into the loss of Sandra Birchmore's life. Matthew read and signed the consent form. I took his phone into possession and I had Trooper Nick Garino extract the data. Trooper Nick Garino also did the phone extractions for the Karen Reed trial. And there were some things that he said that were very problematic in his testimony that were not necessarily expert, correct and accurate expert advice or expert analysis. So Trooper Nick Garino, um, he's not very trustworthy. And if you watched him on the stand and the things that he said versus what we know about uh, the data in the Karen Reed trial, he lied. Well, he may have lied. on the stand about some things, and I'm saying allegedly because people don't like it if I don't, but whatever. This is all alleged. Don't come at me. So Nick Garino did the extraction for Sandra Birchmore's phone, or well, for Matthew Farwell's phone, probably Sandra's too, and then also because he's their in-house expert on forensics. However, if you brought an actual forensics data expert in and had them testify side by side, I'm sure they would have said very different things. We never got to see that because the defense team didn't need to bring in, well, they did bring in Richard Green, who he was their phone expert. So he did. I take that back. He what he testified to versus what Nicholas Garino testified to regarding Google searches and butt dials and things like that. Richard Green, who provided the affidavit in the Karen Reed trial, gave a very lengthy description of everything that was extracted from Jen McCabe's phone and John O'Keefe's phone. And it's very clear that there's some mysterious things going on McCabe's phone, especially at 2:27 a.m., like Google searching how long to die in cold. Anyways, so Sergeant Fanning says, I then gave the phone back to Matthew. So he took the phone into his possession and had Garino extract the data, make a copy of it, whatever, and then he gave the phone back to Matthew. I have attached the signed consent form. FYI, in the Turtle Boy case, they confiscated all of his electronics, his computer, his phone, everything, and it all had, resources on there, sources for his articles, things that people who had been outing some individuals in law enforcement and things like that. So, well, what I'm getting at is they took all these things and still haven't given them back. It's been quite some time, almost a year. October, I think it'll be a year that they took his things. So, see how easy it is? Yeah, I can just take the phone into my possession, hand it over to Nick Carino. He extracts the data, and then I give the phone back to Matt. Simple, easy. Why can't they do that for Turtle Boy or Karen Reed when they confiscated her phones too? Because they thought that Turtle Boy and Karen Reed were in cahoots trying to or tamper witness or tamper juries by influencing them and whatnot with their propaganda, whatever the Commonwealth came up with to say we wanted their phones. I don't know. So this is the consent form from Matt Farwell, and basically it just says here related to the death, and then underneath it says the self unaliving of Sandra Birchmore. So why did he write both? Like maybe he thought, oh, well, I should maybe make sure that it says that she did it herself because I don't want them coming back at me thinking I did it, even though he was the last person to see her. All right. So moving on to February 11th, 2021. Also, this is from John Fanning. At approximately 4:05, Trooper Matt Dunn and I interviewed William Billy Farwell in a parking lot at Cobb's Corner in Stoughton. On February 4th, 2021, Trooper Dunn responded to Canton for the homicide, I'm going to say, of Sandra Birchmore. They wrote it a different way, and that's probably not accurate because an independent forensic pathologist has determined that it was a homicide. And he is a world renowned forensic pathologist who has been involved in a lot of high profile cases. And he says that Sandra Birchmore, her life was taken by someone else's hands. So, Trooper Dunn was advised by multiple sources that the victim, Sandra, was possibly pregnant and that she said the father of the baby is Detective Matt Farwell from Stoughton Police Department. So, again, so she was found February 4th. We knew on the 5th that Matt Farwell and her were having relations. We knew that on February 5th. So, why is it taking this long? I mean, this was February 5th of 2021. Now we're in 2024. Why are we still here asking why these individuals aren't in prison doing time for statutory R and maybe other things like taking her life? I don't know. Trooper Dunn was also advised from multiple sources that the victim was having relations with Matt's brother, Billy Farwell. This interview was concluded in furtherance of this investigation. So we know very early on in the investigation, the Farwell brothers are involved with this girl. She's from the Explorers Youth Program. We know this right away that she knows them through that, and it's a very suspicious, odd thing that she just ends up taking her own life. All right, number two, Billy said that he heard Sandra passed away on Friday. Billy said that he first met Sandra about 10 years ago when Sandra was a police explorer in Stoughton and Billy was a guest instructor. The Police Explorer program is a junior academy program for high school aged kids, exposing them to the different facets of law enforcement. Billy said that he had not seen Sandra in a very long time, probably since the Explorers program. So he's saying he hadn't seen her in 10 years. Okay. Billy became a Stoughton police officer in 2017. In 2018, Billy saw Sandra while he was working a paid detail in Stoughton. Billy said that Sandra remembered him, but he didn't really remember her that well. Billy said that Sandra wanted to get into the Army and he asked if he had any contacts. Billy, who still serves in the military, helped her get in contact with recruiters to get into the Army. Billy said that Sandra got into the Army but eventually got kicked out during boot camp. I wonder what happened there that she got kicked out. Billy, sorry, there's the white eye. It's really bugging me. Billy said that Sandra started constantly contacting him. Billy said that the last time he was in contact with Sandra was about 2 weeks ago via email. Sandra told Billy that she had been accepted to nursing school. Number three, Billy said that he had a physical relationship with Sandra going back about 2 years. So first he says he hasn't seen her in 10 years. Then all of a sudden they see one another. She wants help with this military recruiting. He gets her to talk to a military recruiter who is also alleged to possibly have been having relations with her in some form or fashion. All right. So they introduce her to this recruiter, and then now Billy has a relationship going back 2 years from this interview. So he hadn't seen her in 10 years ish, and then he sees her, and then they have a relationship for this 2 years. And he says that they were only together maybe 2 to 3 times. And it's interesting that both Billy and Matt said the same exact thing that they had a physical relationship with Sandra for about 2 years and that it had escalated only to physical, intimate relations 2 to 3 times, which I find to be incredibly uh, very disingenuous because we know that that's probably not going to be true. And we also know that they were grooming her from a young age. So they had to say 2 years because at this point she was like 23, 22 she was 23 when she passed. So they had to say about 2 years because that would make her an adult. See what I'm getting at? And then to make it say like, oh, well, we were only physical 2 to 3 times. Like, well, I am like uh distancing myself from her by saying that. If I say it was only a couple times versus, oh, yeah, we had a relationship, you don't even have to qualify most of the time when you have a relationship how many times you're getting intimate. But, anyways, so Billy said that the last time they were together was sometime in December of 2020. So she passed in February 1st of 2021. And again, this whole distancing themselves with the 2 to 3 times, making it like, well, I'm definitely not the father because we were only together a couple times, and um, it was a while ago, so it can't be me. I think they're both trying to distance themselves from her, from having a relationship with her, from the whole grooming her. That's what that answer is to me. So he said that they were last together in December. Sandra told Billy that she was pregnant and the father was his brother, Matt. Matt said that he knew that he didn't get her pregnant. I'm sorry, Billy said that he knew he didn't get her pregnant. He meaning Billy meaning Matt didn't get her pregnant, or Billy meaning Billy didn't get her pregnant because they both were having relations with her. So I don't know, but there's a bunch of redacted stuff here. So maybe something in there explains it, but I doubt it. All right, next we've got this is coming back. We're going back to Trooper Dunn writing these, and this is February 12th. So again, it's going in a chronological order the way that these are written. So some might be Trooper Fanning, some might be Trooper Dunn, but it's going kind of in a chronological order. All right, so on February 12th, 2021, Trooper Matt Dunn conducted a phone interview of Redacted and called the Norfolk District Attorney's office and stated she had information regarding the loss of Birchmore's life. Redacted described herself as being a formerly close friend of Birchmore through volleyball. So now we have another phone interview of a friend of Birchmore's. Redacted stated that she and Birchmore had not spoken for some time and they had last communicated about a year ago. However, Birchmore had unexpectedly reached out to Redacted via text message recently. She probably wanted to talk about the baby. She probably wanted to talk about what was going on in her life. She was very excited about this baby. She, as we've been told, she's an oversharer. But really, I mean, multiple people called her that, but I think she was maybe in a way crying out for help by um, by oversharing things in her life. But also because she had been maltreated by these individuals since she was a teenager, I don't know if she necessarily had the right coping skills. So that might have been how she coped in life. By sharing and trying to reach out and connect with people. All right, so according to Redacted, Birchmore was always saying that she was trying to get pregnant. Birchmore told Redacted that she had a donor and that he was a Stoughton police officer. Beyond that, Redacted stated that Birchmore did not really share much personal information. Redacted stated that she had heard from their volleyball coach that Birchmore had become pregnant. When questioned, Redacted stated Birchmore never mentioned the name of the baby's father. Redacted had no further information to report. So that's interesting. She's saying that Sandra wanted a baby and she just needed the donor to get it. And that person was Matt Farwell. Well, I don't know about that, but that's what that individual said. All right, so Trooper Matthew Dunn says on February 12th, 2021, same day, he conducted a phone interview of Redacted because they had called the Norfolk District Attorney's office and stated that she had information regarding the homicide of Birchmore. Redacted described herself as being a friend of Birchmore who communicated with her often. So this is another friend who we know now they were close, or at least, they talked frequently. Redacted stated that she had known Birchmore since elementary school. She stated that over time she and Birchmore fell out of touch but reconnected towards the end of high school around the time they were 17 or 18. Redacted said that she and Birchmore attended volleyball open court sessions in Stoughton around that time. They continued to see one another over time when playing volleyball. Redacted stated that she and Birchmore were never super close, but had started communicating via social media, primarily Snapchat, after the coronavirus pandemic started. Redacted described their communication as typically just sending pictures through social media. Redacted stated that she and Birchmore normally didn't communicate by phone or through text message. So, really, just a friendship via Snapchat. They would send each other funny memes and pictures, probably. And that's just probably how they communicated. They didn't have a whole lot to say to one another. Redacted stated that Birchmore had recently reached out to her to let her know that she was pregnant. Redacted said that this was unusual because they were not all that close and typically did not communicate about personal details prior to that. So they weren't close, but they talked often with these memes and pictures and things. So Birchmore told Redacted that she had been sleeping with a married man and he was the father of the baby. She also told Redacted that she had already bought a baby stroller. Redacted said that Birchmore had wanted a family of her own, but she believed the baby's father may not have wanted the pregnancy. According to Redacted, Birchmore wasn't trying to not get pregnant. So there's a theme here. Obviously, Birchmore wanted a baby. She didn't care if she got pregnant. She almost seemed like she wanted it, and probably knew that the father wouldn't take it so well. Um, but she did it anyways. I mean, did she do it on purpose? There is that uh, kind of that thought, like maybe she did do it on purpose and kind of blindsided Matt Farwell potentially. And I don't know. I don't know if that happened or not, but it almost, from what these individuals say, it just seems like she really wanted a baby. Maybe not, and maybe it wasn't a mutual decision. When asked to elaborate, Redacted said that she believed Birchmore may have intentionally gotten pregnant. And then Redacted. Redacted said that Birchmore had run into Redacted's mother at the grocery store recently, possibly a stop and shop. Stop and shop. Remember, the stop and shop bag was used for the red solo cups to transport them back to the Canton Police Department for some reason, even though the Canton Police Department was um, taken off the case, but that's where the evidence went. So that was in the John O'Keefe case. The solo cups filled with snow mixed with somebody's serological fluids. All right. So at uh, so redacted said that her mother ran into Sandra at a store recently, possibly the Stop and Shop, at which time Birchmore told Redacted's mother that she was expecting. Redacted pointed out that aside from seeing one another at volleyball, Birchmore and her mother did not ever communicate with one another. So that's kind of odd that she would just go up to someone's mother who she never really talked to or wasn't very close with and start telling her about her pregnancy. Number 5, Redacted something something and is employed at Sharon High School. And she was actually the one that got Birchmore her job at East Elementary School in Sharon. So maybe this particular person, this witness, got helped Sandra get her job. According to Redacted, Birchmore had sent her a message via Snapchat at approximately 9 p.m. This is the Snapchatter. Approximately 9 p.m. on Monday, February 1st, about work the following day since they both worked for the Sharon school system. There had been a half day on that day, on that Monday, due to snow. So they talked actually, their last Snapchat was, I thought it was that Sunday night, into that Monday morning. They both worked for that Sharon school. There had been a half day and due to snow, and a remote half day was scheduled for Tuesday, February 2nd. So they were in communication about this snow day schedule. They spoke about work, but Redacted stated that Birchmore never responded to her last Snapchat message. Redacted was then questioned about her knowledge related to the father of Birchmore's child. She stated that Birchmore told her that at one point, after expressing he was unhappy about the pregnancy, an argument took place between the two. Birchmore told him that she was going to tell his wife and his job. Redacted stated that Birchmore was aware this would get him into trouble. The father of the child then got angry and took Birchmore's phone from her. Redacted stated this was approximately 2 weeks prior to her being found deceased. Bunch of redacted. Birchmore had also told Redacted that he should leave his wife, he loves me, and that he loves her more than his wife. So this is the Snapchat person that was communicating with her, never got a message back. Now we know that she wanted Farwell to leave his wife. They never do. I don't know from personal experience, just saying. All right, so this next one is again from Trooper Matthew Dunn, and it takes place. I think it's like pouring rain right now. All right, so on February 23rd, 2021, Trooper Matthew Dunn, conducted a phone interview of Redacted, who had called the Norfolk District Attorney's Office and stated that she had information regarding the homicide of Birchmore. Redacted stated that she was Birchmore's blank. So this might be a familial relationship that they are taking out just for privacy purposes. Number two, Redacted stated that when Redacted, Birchmore would occasionally confide in her. Redacted said that she would typically see Birchmore about once a month. She said that once Birchmore became pregnant, the two began to interact more. According to Redacted, she and Birchmore would primarily communicate via Facebook Messenger. I really feel like this girl was alone and she was just reaching out for friends and friendship, and like she really valued her friends because she didn't have her family anymore. Her mom and her aunts, or her mom and her grandma both passed away within like a month from each other. And then a close aunt of hers, I think, also passed a little later on. And so she's had a rough go of things. Her dad wasn't in the picture, so she's had a rough life already, bringing a very rough upbringing, and now all of this with Matthew Farwell and William Farwell, Robert Devine, and Sergeant Fanning, allegedly, what they did to her is awful. All right, so Redacted stated she had seen a Facebook message regarding Birchmore's homicide and did a Google search and got an uneasy feeling, which is what prompted her to contact the investigators. She knew something was not right. This witness. She stated that she was aware that Birchmore was sleeping with a married man and knew that Birchmore had been trying to get pregnant. Redacted said Birchmore had told her that she and the baby's father had talked about getting pregnant, but Redacted had gotten the impression that the father may not have been on board with the pregnancy. Redacted said Birchmore had told her that the baby's father did not want to sign the birth certificate. I almost wonder, because she says she and the baby's father had wanted or had talked about getting pregnant. I almost wonder if that's something that Matt Farwell might have like said that he wanted with her, to try to almost in a ruse, in a way to like keep her on the hook, keep her dangling, keep her wanting more from him. Like, oh yeah, we could have that. We could have a family. We could have children together. Yeah, whatever you want. But really with no intention of ever giving that to her. But then when she actually did get pregnant, he was like, "Oh shit, I gotta do something about that." And then he needed to keep it from his wife, who was also delivering a baby the day after Sandra was found, or the day after Sandra. mm, after her last movements, let's say, her last day on Earth. All right, so Birchmore had told her that she and the baby's father had talked about getting pregnant, but he didn't want to sign the birth certificate, so he wasn't so on board. Redacted stated that she last saw Birchmore on January 30th at the salon. She stated that Birchmore had been calling her about once a week, but that she typically would not answer when she saw that Birchmore was calling, and she would instead text her back. You know those friends, like, oh, I don't want to talk on the phone with them, so I'll just text them. So according to Redacted, Birchmore seemed to be happy about the pregnancy. So that's the salon individual that said that they saw them in the salon. This is a letter from attorney Patrick Hanley, or regarding a letter, sorry, from attorney Patrick Hanley. And this is from Sergeant Fanning, written by Sergeant Fanning. All right, so on March 10th, 2021, I received a letter at the Norfolk County DA's office from attorney Patrick Hanley. Attorney Hanley is known to me, and he represents Detective Matthew Farwell from Stoughton Police Department. Attorney Hanley had called me earlier in the week to tell me that he was sending a letter on behalf of Matthew in regards to some unanswered questions regarding their relationship and in response to some requests that I had made. I have read the letter and it is attached to this report. Here is the said letter. Dear Sergeant Fanning, I am writing to follow up our recent conversations and prior interviews you have had with my client Matthew Farwell. As you know, Mr. Farwell has been cooperative with your investigation, including participating in interviews with you and permitting you to download certain information from his mobile phone. Throughout your conversations with my client and later with myself, you have indicated that you view him as a witness in your investigation. This is consistent with reality. Mr. Farwell has committed no crime. Like many, he is saddened by Ms. Birchmore's homicide. I'm calling it a homicide because that's what it has been determined now by Michael Baden. Dr. Michael Baden, world renowned, like one of the original autopsy guys. During our recent conversations, you asked Mr. Farwell to submit a DNA sample and participate in a polygraph interview. Although I appreciate your diligence, I advised my client to decline these requests and the request for further interview, traditional slash non-polygraph, so either just a regular interview or a polygraph that accompanied them. I did so because they are far outside the norm for more mere witnesses in an investigation. I was a prosecutor for 14 years and participated in hundreds of interviews with state police detectives like yourself. I cannot recall once seeking a polygraph interview, and I can only recall seeking DNA of persons that the investigators and I considered targets. There are good reasons for anyone to chafe at a request for DNA and polygraph, and for an attorney to advise his client to decline the request. Compiling Mr. Farwell's DNA profile would be highly invasive. It would yield genetic markers and highly personal health and family information. Based on the information he has already provided to you that I will not restate here, I expect his DNA profile would reveal nothing of value to your case. Mr. Farwell has already provided highly personal information. In my opinion, providing DNA is a step too far. Okay. Okay, buddy. A polygraph raises similar concerns about invasion of privacy. The topics of questioning would be highly invasive. Furthermore, the requests of a polygraph are inadmissible in court because courts have concluded that polygraph results are unreliable. See Commonwealth versus Mendez. Under the circumstances here, there is no reason for the state police to conduct a polygraph examination of my client. Maybe so, but DNA could help solve the question of whose baby was Sandra pregnant with. who was the father of that baby. We don't know conclusively at this point in time because they denied DNA testing. I write not only to explain my response to your request for DNA and polygraph of my client, but also to briefly address 2 points that may be underlying your request. First, my client had no role in Ms. Birchmore's homicide. He certainly never encouraged her to take her life, nor did he have any reason to fear that she would take her own life. He was shocked and saddened when he learned that she had taken her own life. Bunch of redacted. If possible, please inform me when your investigation closes and any considerations, if any, that you draw with respect to Mr. Farwell. Please contact me if I may provide additional information or produ- additional assistance to you if you would like to contact my client. Signed, yours truly, Patrick Hanley. Yours truly. It's a weird way for an attorney to sign a letter. Yours truly. All right, up next is from Sergeant Fanning, and this is something happened on April. Matthew Farwell. This is regarding Matthew Farwell's police issued iPhone drop off. So now he has to look at his police issued phone. I wonder where that came from. On April 26, 2021, Deputy Chief Brian Holmes from Stoughton Police Department brought a black iPhone to the Norfolk DA's office as part of our investigation into the homicide of Sandra Birchmore. The phone was issued to Detective Matthew Farwell and has been retrieved by Stoughton Police when he was placed on administrative leave. So at this point in time, Matt Farwell's already been placed on administrative leave. They took his work phone and now they're handing it over to the DA. This this phone has been logged into evidence. All right. So now what? We're going back in time, February 9th, 2021. Is there more to this? All right. So on February 9th, 2021, Matthew Farwell consented to a data extraction of his personal iPhone, which was then extracted by Trooper Nick Garino. Again, he was involved in the Karen Reed case as well. On April 26, 2021, I received Matthew's work cell phone from Stoughton Police Department. Through Matthew's attorney, consent was given for a data extraction, which was performed by, again, Trooper Nick Garino. I analyzed both of these phones and did not find any communication with Sandra Birchmore. Matt had said in a previous interview that he deleted all communications with Sandra. So he handed over the phone, but anything that he said to Sandra is already deleted. So you need the actual phone to try to extract the metadata, the cloud data, whatever, the data that can be retrieved without the data that can retrieve the what am I talking about? The like doing a what's what do we use for a Cellbrite extraction? That's what you need is to find you need a Cellbrite. I cannot think of words right now. Cellbrite data to I'm getting a bunch of notifications on my phone. Something about Proctor. I don't know. Anyways, so this Cellbrite data. You need the Cellbrite data to get the deleted stuff on the phone. So hopefully that's what this is about. Hopefully they can actually retrieve the deleted communications with Sandra. You don't think that that would be important as an officer of the law? You break up with her, she ends up taking her own life. You don't think it might be important to have your cell phone save those communications with her? I don't know, just a thought. Next, on February 4th, 2021, Trooper Dunn responded to Canton for the homicide of Sandra Birchmore. Trooper Dunn was advised by multiple sources that the victim, Sandra, was possibly pregnant and that she said the father of the baby is Detective Matt Farwell from Stoughton Police Department. On February 9th, Troopers Dunn, Keefe, and this is Fanning, responded to redacted in Canton to retrieve Sandra's laptop and any other relevant evidence. We retrieved Sandra's Apple laptop and we were able to use a password to gain access to the device. This device was then turned over to Trooper Nick Garino for data collection and preservation. How did they have a password is what I want to know. Like, this report should say a password which was provided by or so and so. There should be like a number two. So and so provided password. Number three, we were able to get in with said password. They're leaving things out in this, like it's vague. They just were able to use a password to gain access. Okay, well, what password? How did you get that password? There's a lot of things kind of up in the air with that. All right, so over the next several weeks, I analyzed data from Sandra's laptop. In particular, I was investigating any criminal conduct related to Sandra's homicide and redacted. Sandra's laptop gave me access to approximately 12 months of iMessages, social media content, and other documents/databases. Matt and Sandra had texted thousands of times over the year, as well as communication with many other friends and family of Sandra. It was clear, based on text with Matt, that he and Sandra had a physical relationship, as he told us in a previous interview. Redacted. All of those conversations were flagged in the forensics report of her laptop. So there were thousands of communications between her and Matt, as well as other family and friends. And they had to go through, we were on Sandra's devices, but not on Matt Farwell's. A little suspect. Sandra communicated often with friends and family. It appeared that Sandra had physical relationships with other men in the months leading up to her homicide. There were no threats of harm by any of these individuals, including Matt. Maybe not over text, but he might have been threatening her in person. Oh, look at the title of this one. So this is a different sergeant or a different trooper, Trooper Sean J. Quirk. And this is going to a different lieutenant also, so that's interesting. But this is regarding the Divine investigation. So maybe like a separate unit was investigating Divine while the other unit was investigating Birchmore's homicide. I don't know. Seems like it, maybe. All right, so on Wednesday, November 12th, 2014, 2014, how did we get back so far? Oh, yes, this is because it's Divine's investigation. So this is not necessarily Sandra Birchmore related, but this is related to previous um previous occurrences of Robert Divine having, let's just say, issues with women. So on Wednesday, November 12th, 2014, Trooper Sean J. Quirk was assigned to investigate an alleged violation of a criminal harassment order. Redacted. The harassment order was granted on October 3rd, 2014 by the Norfolk Superior Court against Tiffany Overstreet. So remember that name. This is Tiffany Overstreet. She's the complainant. The plaintiff of the order are Robert and Lisa Devine. The order had an original expiration date of October 9th, 2014, but was extended through October 23rd. So the plaintiffs in this case are Robert and Lisa Devine. So Robert and his wife, Lisa, I'm assuming, and Tiffany Overstreet is a woman that he was having an affair with. So there's that little nugget. All right, so on October 20th, 2014, flowers were delivered to Lisa Devine at her residence, redacted. The message that accompanied the flowers stated redacted. So we don't get to know the message, but that would have been interesting. All right. An investigation revealed that the order was placed by redacted. The order information came from the result of an administrative subpoena submitted to FTD.com by Officer Sandra Barrett. So they went out and got a subpoena and they subpoenaed FTD, which is this flower company, to tell them who ordered it, who ordered this bouquet or bouquet. Flowers, just an arrangement. Robert advised that Redacted is a friend of Overstreet, so that might be the person who placed the order. Robert reported the incident to the Stoughton police, where Robert is the deputy chief. Officer Sandra Barrett took the report, and Chief Shastani was made aware of the situation. On Saturday, November 15th, 2014, I spoke with Robert. He reported that the harassment order was sought because of ongoing harassment from Overstreet. He stated since the order was granted, he has been receiving phone calls on his personal cell phone and emails from unknown numbers at all times of the day and night. Some of the calls and messages were reported to be threatening in nature. Robert advised that he searched the phone numbers and email addresses on the internet and found that most come back to a website called bandwidth.com. Robert provided me with a copy of the response he received from bandwidth.com's legal division. Bandwidth.com's advised the numbers he requested were provided to a wholesale customer, which is this Enflick Inc., and therefore legal service will need to be sent to that company. Enflick Inc. provides a free application called Text Now that allows a person to disguise true numbers or email addresses. So the emails and phone numbers might have been disguised or encrypted or whatever you want to call it. So Robert also stated that the password for his Comcast account had been changed today. That was 11/15/14. So that's the date of this report. But he had not requested a change. He stated that his inbox folder, sent folder, and contacts were all deleted. Imagine that. Somebody changed his password and deleted everything in his inbox, sent folder, everything. How very ironic that these things he delete, things get deleted all the time right before a uh, order to keep your discovery, not to your order to preserve comes to you in Canton. These things, people's phones disappear or get changed or replaced right before they get an order to keep it. It's just very odd. And then this happens. Robert Devine's password for his Comcast just suddenly changes and everything disappears in his inbox. He said he found 2 deleted emails in the trash bin. Oh, but I thought everything was deleted. But no, there's these 2 deleted emails in a trash bin. At this point, he then changed the username on his account. He further stated that there had been previous attempts to gain access to their accounts. Robert's Comcast accounts redacted, Robert's Yahoo account redacted, and Lisa's Pinterest account. Robert stated that no one has his passwords. I asked Robert that if Overstreet attempted to access his account, would she know the answers to his security passwords? And he stated yes, probably. How would she know his password though? So somebody, oh, maybe she tried to change his password and got access to it. I don't know. Somehow, some way. On Sunday, November 16th, 2014, Robert contacted me to inform me that he received a message indicating that an email from his Comcast account, redacted, failed to be delivered. He stated that he had not tried to send a message. When he accessed his account, he found the message that was returned. He said it appeared to be from his account and was addressed to his cell phone number, redacted. The error message returning showing an IP address of this, I'm not going to read that out, then uses AT&T as a service provider. Robert stated he uses Verizon as his service provider. There is an indication on the return receipt that the message may have come from textm.net. Is that this same thing that encodes messages? He also informed me that last night he received more texts from unknown numbers. A copy of the returned message is attached. On November 25th, 2014, I submitted an administrative subpoena to AT&T. 7. On Monday, November 17th, 2014, at approximately 700 hours, I went to Stoughton PD to meet with Robert. During our meeting, he spoke about his relationship with his wife and how he met Overstreet. He stated that last fall, he and his wife Lisa were considering separating. Around that time, he became involved with Overstreet and things progressed into a more serious relationship. He advised that Overstreet's attitude toward him changed. She turned threatening and abusive. Robert stated that as the next summer approached, he and his wife decided to reconcile their marriage. He wanted to end the relationship he had with Overstreet. He stated Overstreet wished to continue a relationship with him and did not want him to go back to his wife. She made threats of taking herself out if he abandoned her. From this time until the issuance of the order, there have been numerous instances of harassing text messages, some of which were threatening, and phone calls from unknown numbers. So Robert Devine is saying that he was separated from his wife while that while he met this Overstreet individual and they had a relationship. Then him and his wife wanted to get back together. They try to get back together. He wants to cut it off with Overstreet. She becomes threatening and harassing and sends him all these messages and doing all these things to him. He's such a victim because he cheated on his wife. Because in all reality, he probably did just cheat on her and it wasn't a break in his marriage, but he was just saying that to save face, to make himself not look so bad. That's me speculating because if he was cheating on his wife with young children, do you think that he would really care about being separated or not with his wife during that time of his affair with this Overstreet person? No, I don't think so. All right, so on Thursday, November 20th, 2014, Robert contacted me to inform me that his Google account password had been changed without his knowledge again. He was able to provide a screenshot. So why does his password keep getting changed? That's so bizarre. He also informed me that some of his family and friends received an email containing pictures of Overstreet and himself from the email account redacted. On November 25th, 2014, I sent an administrative subpoena to Google. Robert said that he plugged the name into Twitter and found a Twitter page containing many pictures of a nude woman. Although the woman's head is not visible, Robert identified the woman as Overstreet. And there's a picture. It's redacted. He stated the email address and Twitter handle, redacted, are not known to him. On November 21st, 2014, I sent Twitter a preservation order for the preservation of the content. As of the date of this report, the page has been removed. So somebody removed it and maybe they didn't get it yet, or they weren't able to retrieve it because of that, I'm guessing. On Wednesday, November 25th, Robert contacted me and informed me that another email was sent. He stated this email contained more pictures of he and Overstreet and was sent to co-workers and their spouses. So his cop buddies got these pictures and the spouses of these cops. He stated that some of these pictures were graphic and they came from Overstreet's email account and was allegedly accessed by an unknown individual. The email was reported to come from redacted and redacted, and there's a redacted picture. On December 2nd, 2014, Robert contacted me regarding information he received from Comcast, his internet provider. Comcast provided me with his account access logs and associated IP addresses from September 26, 2014 through November 15th, 2014 that showed numerous bad password statuses, which could indicate that someone tried to access his account using probably a like the wrong password. Some of the attempts were successful, which could indicate that someone actually accessed his account, redacted. Robert also received the same data for the second account, redacted, which he changed to after he believed the first account was accessed, November 15th through November 16th. That was the first time that it happened. On December 2nd, I sent administrative subpoenas to Comcast and WDSPC because they are the service providers of the IP addresses that may have attempted access to the account. Interesting. So somebody was trying to hack him and get into his account and do all these things, apparently. Here is the arrest warrant for Tiffany Overstreet. Also, or not, this is regarding the arrest warrant for Tiffany Overstreet. This is again by Trooper Sean Cork. And to that other lieutenant, Kevin Shea, also. So probably different unit investigating Divine in this Overstreet instance. So on Wednesday, November 12th, Trooper Sean, was assigned to investigate an alleged violation of a criminal harassment order. The following is based on harassment orders, redacted, that were granted on October 3rd by the Norfolk Superior Court against Tracy Overstreet. The order had an original expiration date of October 9th, but was extended through October 23rd. On October 23rd, the order was continued until November 4th, but was later changed to November 13th. On November 14th, all parties agreed to extend the harassment orders until January 15th, 2015. Why did they keep going back and just extending it a little by little? That's weird to me. On October 20th, 2014, flowers with that order number were delivered to the victim at her residence. Address withheld, Stoughton, MA. The message that accompanied the flower stated, redacted. Again, we don't get to read it. That's too bad. All right, an investigation reveals that the order was placed by redacted. The order, so this is, he's continuing on with his, the report that he just did. Right, so some of it might be a little repetitive. The order information came as a result of the administrative subpoena submitted to FTD.com, issued by the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. The victim advised that redacted is a friend of Overstreet. The victim reported the incident to the Stoughton Police, where the victim works. Officer Sandra Barrett took the report, and the chief was made aware of the situation. On Saturday, November 15th, I spoke with the victim. He reported Robert Devine, he reported that the harassment order was sought because of ongoing harassment from Overstreet. He stated since the order was granted, he has been receiving phone calls on his personal cell phone and emails from unknown numbers at all times of the day and night. Some of the calls and messages were reported to be in a threatening nature. The victim advised that he searched the phone numbers and email addresses on the internet and found that most come back to the website bandwidth.com. All right, I'm not going to read all that again, but it's coming from this Text Now. Remember this application that encrypts or disguises their phone numbers and email addresses, which you can do pretty much on lots of applications and platforms nowadays. You can disguise your email and whatnot. One message came from redacted, and a search of this email address showed that it came from Pinger Inc. Pinger Inc. is also a website that allows a person to disguise their email address. This message appears to contain a screenshot of messages between Overstreet and a third party. It appeared that the third party sent the message from the above mentioned address to the victim. Due to the anonymity of the third party and the potential violation of the harassment order, the Norfolk District Attorney's Office issued an administrative subpoena to Pinger.com, Pinger Inc. The victim also stated that the password for his Comcast account had been changed today. That was 11/15/14, but he had not changed or he had not asked for the change. Everything was deleted. He found those two emails in his trash bin. He changed his account information then. Okay. And then when asked if she, Overstreet, knows his passwords, he said yes. On Sunday, November 16th, the victim contacted me to inform me that he received a message indicating with an email from his Comcast account username withheld failed to be delivered. He stated that he had not tried to send a message. When he accessed his account, he found the message that was returned. He said it appeared to be from his account and was addressed to his cell phone number. The error message returned showing the Internet Protocol IP address that uses AT&T as the service provider. The victim states he uses Verizon. So it's coming from a different IP address. When obviously he uses Verizon and it's coming from an AT&T. So there's definitely some odd things going on with his email, apparently. On Monday, November 17th, at approximately 700 hours, he went to Stoughton. Da, 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 da. We read all that. On Thursday, November 20th, the victim contacted me to inform me that his Google account password had been changed without his knowledge. He was able to provide a screenshot. He also informed me that some of his friends and family received that email. This is all repetitive. He stated the email address and Twitter handle. They sent a preservation order on Wednesday, November 25th. The victim contacted me and informed me that another email was sent. He stated that email contained more pictures of he and Overstreet and was sent to coworkers and their spouses. He stated that some of the pictures were graphic and they came from Overstreet's email account that was allegedly accessed by an unknown individual. He provided me with a screen capture of the images, which I have viewed. The email was reported to come from Redacted and Redacted. On December 2nd, 2014, the victim contacted me regarding information he received from Comcast, his internet service provider. Comcast provided him with his account access logs and associated IP addresses from September 24th through November 15th that showed numerous bad password statuses, which could indicate that someone tried to access his account. Some of the attempts were successful, which could indicate that someone actually accessed his account. The victim also received the same data for the same account, which he changed to after he believed. Okay, so I know we read all of these. This is just repetitive, and some, like, they might add a new sentence or two, but it's worth reading. On Thursday, December 4th, Pinger Inc. responded to the administrative subpoena. Pinger customer support representative Chris Denault provided account information for the username redacted. The name on the account was redacted. This account was created on November 16th and was only used that one day. There was no further activity on the account. He was also able to provide the IP address for the computer that was used to create the account. A check of the IP address revealed it belonged to Comcast. So, an administrative subpoena was issued by Norfolk District Attorney's Office. On Monday, December 8th, WDSPC responded to the administrative subpoena issued on December 2nd. That email from their help desk stated that they do not have any end user information because they leave IP addresses to several wireless data companies. They informed us that the end user information that may exist would be provided by AT&T Wireless. The Norfolk District Attorney's Office issued a subpoena for AT&T. On Monday, December 8th, Comcast Legal Response Center responded to the administrative subpoena. The correspondence revealed that the subscriber of the IP addresses referenced above was Tiffany Overstreet of Redacted. The victim believed there had been previous attempts to access his Comcast email because he had received notifications from Comcast stating his password had been changed. He stated these notifications were not the result of him changing the password. Excuse me. The victim provided me with an account access log for both accounts that he received from Comcast. Why do I sound froggy? Hold on. Sorry about that. All right, so the victim provided me with an account access log for both accounts that he received from Comcast. They were dated 9/26 and through 11/15. The log showed time, date, IP address, email account, username, and authorization status, success/bad password. The IP address, which came back to Overstreet, was recorded by Comcast as making 4 successful attempts accessing victim's email account. Those attempts were recorded as follows: 11:11 at 11:01, 11:11 at 11:12, 11:15 at 11:05, and woman likes 11:15 at 11:07. So those are the 4 attempts. On Tuesday, December 9th, while further reviewing the victim's email access log for his Comcast account, I observed the account was accessed on November 15th by someone at the IP address of this, ending in 177. The account access log showed 4 bad password attempts and then 1 successful attempt in less than 4 minutes. The last attempt, which was successful, occurred at 8:51 p.m. At that time, the victim changed his email address to something new. All right. According to the victim's Comcast account access log, a person using that same IP address ending in 177 made 3 successful attempts between 8:54 and 8:55 into his new account. The victim provided me with a printout of an email that was sent from his new account at 8:54. He stated he did not send it. The Norfolk District Attorney's Office issued a subpoena. There have been numerous instances during the time period in the account access log where a series of IP addresses tried to access the victim's account. A series of IP addresses ranged from all of those. I'm not going to read them. All right. After a conversation with Lieutenant David McSweeney, he informed me that the series of IP addresses may indicate that the user was in a public place or at a business, and the IP addresses were randomly assigned. Norfolk District Attorney's Office issued a subpoena to Comcast. All right. Now we have a meeting. That was really crooked. Let's try that again. Now we have a meeting with Robert and Lisa Devine. On Wednesday, March 11th, 2015, at 1600 hours, Lieutenant David McSweeney, Attorney Kevin Mellon, and I, Trooper Sean J. Cork, met with Attorney Timothy Burke, or met at Attorney Timothy Burke's office in Needham. The purpose of the meeting was to meet with Robert and Lisa Devine regarding their intentions going forward on the open case against Tiffany Overstreet. With Attorney Burke present, we met with Robert Devine and Lisa Devine separately. They both stated that they no longer wanted to go forward with a case against Tiffany Overstreet and wanted to move forward with their lives. I showed the Devines pictures that were located on one of Overstreet's phones. These photos caused concern because one was taken at their daughter's school and others were Devine's family pictures. Robert stated that the photo from the school was taken by his wife. Lisa confirmed same. I asked if they were concerned that the pictures were on her phone. They both thought her having them on her phone was creepy, but were not concerned otherwise. What? Suddenly you just want to drop the charges and say, oh, I'm not concerned. That's really suspicious. Really odd. Your arrest report for Tiffany Overstreet. On Wednesday, November 12th, I, Sean J. Cork, was assigned to investigate an alleged violation of harassment orders. I'm not going to repeat all of this. Flowers delivered, blah, 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 blah. We read all this. It's just a repeat. It's like the same. I don't know why they do this in police reports, but they just basically copy and paste their report over from before and then add on to it, which is so dumb. Why don't you just like say this is report number two, or like number them, or somehow, identify them by date instead of repeating everything. That's my opinion. There's probably a better way to do police reports. Um, where did we leave off? The bad password. There were numerous instances. Okay, yeah, so those IP addresses indicated that the person might have been in a public place. On Wednesday, December 17th, I sought and received a search warrant for the Stoughton District Court to search for and seize computer systems and other storage media located at whatever this address is. We have no idea what that is. Is that Tiffany Overstreet's house or apartment or something? We don't know because everything's been redacted. On Thursday, December 18th, 2014, at approximately 700 hours, myself, Lieutenant David McSweeney, Sergeant Denise Doherty, Trooper Sheila Carney, and officers from the Eastern Police Department executed the search warrant at that address, probably, which wasn't redacted here. After several attempts at knocking at the door, Tiffany Overstreet did answer the door. We identified ourselves as police officers, and Overstreet was advised that we had a search warrant. Officers entered peacefully. Overstreet was given Miranda warnings by Lieutenant McSweeney and told that we were there as part of an investigation into Overstreet allegedly violating a harassment prevention order taken out by Robert and Lisa Devine. Overstreet stated that Robert just called her last night and has told her that he went out to court and withdrew the HPO. She said that he told her that he loved her in that conversation. She said they have communicated back and forth with one another via phone and email over the past several weeks because he told her that he withdrew the order. Overstreet then said that she did not want to talk to officers anymore. She was advised that she was being placed under arrest for the HPO violation. She was transported by an Easton PD marked cruiser to the Easton PD for booking and to await later transport to Stoughton District Court. During the execution of the search warrant, after Overstreet was arrested and en route to the police department, Lieutenant McSweeney called Robert Devine to advise him of the arrest and search warrant execution. Lieutenant McSweeney explained to Robert that subpoenas had revealed that communications related to the ongoing harassment had come from Tiffany Overstreet's internet service at redacted. According to Lieutenant McSweeney, Devine said that he was floored that the activity was traced back to Overstreet. He said he felt bamboozled as he thought that Overstreet was not the source of the harassment, but instead that someone was setting her up. What? Devine said that he was floored that the activity was traced back to Overstreet. He felt bamboozled. He thought that someone was setting her up and that it wasn't her doing it. He thought that eventually records would reveal some other suspect and that Overstreet would be seen as a victim as well. He admitted that he had been having contact with Overstreet over the past several weeks while the HPO was in effect. So then she didn't violate it if he was willingly seeing her. And that he did initiate some of the contact, including meeting for dinner at one point to discuss the related incidents. He again said that he continued to communicate with Overstreet because he felt she was not the source of the harassment. This is odd. Lieutenant McSweeney said that he reminded Robert that he took out the HPO against Overstreet and that he was initiating much of the communication between him and Overstreet. Like, why did you get the HPO if you're going to be doing all the talking to her? Robert repeated that Overstreet had him fooled and bamboozled him. What does that mean? You first didn't think it was her and now you do? Or what? I make up your mind. During the search warrant, some digital communications located on a cell phone identified by Overstreet as belonging to her were viewed. One message was from the username redacted. This username is associated with some of the harassing anonymous communications related to this investigation. Officers completed the search warrant execution, seizing several computer devices and cellular phones. All seized items will be returned to the Norfolk District Attorney's Office pending further analysis. On December 18th, 2014, at approximately 900 hours, while at the Easton Police Department, Overstreet initiated contact with officers and stated that she would like to speak with officers. After going over Miranda warnings again, Sergeant Doherty and I spoke with Overstreet. The interview was video and audio recorded. The entire interview has been memorialized on a DVD. The following came from our conversation with Overstreet. During the interview, Overstreet admitted that she continued to have a physical relationship with Robert since the harassment order was issued. She stated they continuously text and email each other. She stated that Robert is usually the one who initiates the contact. She denied any knowledge of spoofing, creating accounts on spoofing websites, sending emails, texts, etc. from the same. And that is the end of this report. And this last part is only there to really show like there was something fishy going on with Robert Devine and this Overstreet woman. And so he first gets an order of protection against her. So he thinks that she is the one harassing him. And then he decides he's going to continue talking to her and keeping up the conversations and, initiating physical relations with her and say that, oh, it's not her harassing me, he says. But now is it or isn't it? So he's saying that he felt bamboozled and fooled. So did she fool you or was she being truthful? None of it makes sense. Do you see what I'm saying? Like first he says obviously he thinks it's her because he gets out the order of protection. Or was it something his wife made him do? Maybe the wife found out and was like, "You need to get an order of protection against her." And maybe the wife and Divine were initiating these cyber attacks or whatever was going on with him. Could they have been initiating it? Could it have been them? Could Divine have been doing it from Tiffany Overstreet's house? Never know. Never know. Sometimes when you're a psychopath, you do things that normal people don't think of and doesn't necessarily make sense. So this whole thing doesn't make sense. So, oh, sorry. So Robert Devine married to Lisa. He's also grooming and allegedly having grooming and having physical relations with minors in this Explorers program, grooming the Farwell brothers to also groom children in this program. Um, he has a mistress who he gets an order of protection against and potentially may even uh, claim that she was cyber attacking him. It's just all very weird. And then so were the charges dropped or not? Did Tiffany Overstreet? I'm so confused about this whole thing because it's just very strange and suspicious. Did Tiffany Overstreet come back and say, like blackmail him and the wife and say, if you don't drop the charges, I'm gonna do this, or if you don't let the order go, I'll do whatever. I'll release these photos, I'll whatever. But it's like it doesn't make sense that he would be sending his own photos to spouses and friends and family members and things, and I don't know. But again, psychopathic mind, you could make it happen, I guess. It's just so bizarre. What do you guys think of this? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. Let me know of what you think of Robert Devine and Tiffany Overstreet, what you think of just this case in general and the investigation into Sandra Birchmore's homicide. Quickly, I want to go just let you know. I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull up something here. So we've gone through episodes 1 and 2, the life and the death of Sandra Birchmore. Then we went through the officers, the Stoughton officers who groomed her. And then now we've just completed part 2 of the investigation into her death. So the next episode I'm going to have for you is going to be all on former Stoughton Deputy Chief Robert Devine. So we're going to go a little bit more in depth into Robert Devine. Maybe some more of this Overstreet stuff will come up. I'm not really sure, but we will hopefully get into it. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Please make sure that the notification bell is on so you don't miss a video on the Sandra Birchmore case. All right. Thank you guys again. Take care. Bye now.
If you've been impacted by a true crime and would like your story told in your own words, or if you or someone you know has been wrongfully convicted or accused of a crime, please write to crimeincourtchannel@gmail.com and tell us your real true crime encounters. Thanks for watching.